Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so today we're unpacking something that's honestly just mind-boggling. When we look at a map, we tend to think of countries as static, immovable objects, right? But if we look at India from a geological perspective, it isn't just a country. It's the breathtaking result of hundreds of millions of years of revolution and natural miracles. Today, we're going to retrace an epic, 9,000-kilometer geological journey that quite literally forged the Indian landmass. Every mountain, every river, and every rock you see today is a testament to the Earth's violent and absolutely fascinating struggle. I mean, did you know India was once literally attached to Antarctica and Australia? When I first heard that, it completely blew my mind. It almost sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But the towering mountains and the sacred rivers we see today in India are actually the end result of a massive 200 million year epic saga. India literally sailed across the ocean to become the land we know today. All right, so to make sense of this colossal time travel story, here's a quick roadmap of where we're headed today. First up, Gondwana's origin story. Second, the Great Split. Third, the Western Ghats. Fourth, volcanoes and the end of the dinosaurs. And finally, the birth of the Himalayas. Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, Gondwana, the origin of the supercontinent. To understand India's birth, we have to rewind the clock way, way back to about 550 million years ago. Earth looked completely different. There were no 7 continents like we have today. Instead, there were just 2 massive supercontinents, Laurasia up in the north and Gondwana down in the south. Now you might be wondering, where exactly did the name Gondwana come from? Well, the roots of the word are actually hidden right there in Indian soil. Back in the 19th century, European geologists studying rock formations in central India found these incredibly ancient geological structures. So they named this colossal landmass, which at the time held India, Australia, Africa, Antarctica, Madagascar, and South America, after the local Gond tribe, drawing on Sanskrit roots that roughly translate to a vast land of forests and mountains. So for nearly 180 million years, this massive supercontinent just thrived. I'm talking vast forests, complex ecosystems, animals, all flourishing across this single shared landmass. You had the exact same biodiversity spanning across what is now South America all the way to Australia. But as we know, Earth is restless. Around 180 million years ago, a massive geological storm began brewing deep underground, one that would tear this peaceful supercontinent apart forever. And that brings us right to Section 2, the Great Split. The surface of the Earth might have seemed quiet, but intense, invisible forces were boiling deep within, preparing to alter the map of our planet permanently. Let's actually walk through how this happened. Deep beneath the crust, you've got magma, this churning ocean of hot liquid rock. Because lower density materials naturally want to rise, this boiling magma pushed upward, creating extreme, absolutely relentless pressure against the crust of Gondwana. And eventually, the crust just couldn't handle it. Deep cracks shattered the supercontinent. Gondwana fractured into 3 major pieces: South America, Africa, and this massive shared block that contained India, Madagascar, Australia, and Antarctica. New oceans flooded in, and India began its incredible journey north. Moving right along to Section 3, Birth of Mountains and Weather. As we jump forward in our timeline to about 150 million years ago, India's chunk of land is on the move. But it's about to undergo a fiery transformation at a place called the Mascarene Plateau, which ultimately caused Madagascar to separate from the Indian landmass. What's truly incredible about this event is the absolute gift it left behind for India. As magma violently erupted and breached the surface, it flowed out and slowly cooled, layer by layer, over millions of years. And this cooling lava formed a magnificent, towering mountain range along the western edge of the continent, the lush, beautifully green Western Ghats that we know today. But you see, these aren't just pretty mountains, right? They are literally the engine of India's climate. Think about it. In June and July, moist winds travel in from the Arabian Sea. When they hit that towering wall of the newly formed Western Ghats, the air is forced straight up, it cools, forms incredibly dense clouds, and unleashes heavy, heavy monsoon rains. Because of this single geological event, millions of years ago, regions like Kerala, Goa, and Karnataka boast this rich greenery and prosperous agriculture today. It's all connected. Okay, So here's another crucial point. The creation of those Western Ghats actually tipped the scale of the entire landmass. The sheer weight and upward thrust of these mountains caused the western edge of the Indian plate to rise up and the eastern side to dip downward, just a bit. And because of this subtle eastern tilt, almost all the major rivers in South India today naturally flow from the west to the east, emptying right out into the Bay of Bengal. Section 4, Volcanoes and the End of an Era. As we shift our focus to about 80 million years ago, powerful tectonic forces start pulling the Indo-Australian plate apart. India and Australia, which had been traveling together this whole time, were about to go their separate ways. It's just amazing how we actually know this for sure. If you compare the Eastern Ghats of India with the Western Mountains of Australia, scientists have found they are literal geological brothers. Their rock age? Identical. Their rock structure? Identical. Even their magnetic properties are identical. It is a perfect, flawless match, proving without a doubt that they were formed together back when they were locked into that Gondwana supercontinent. So by 70 million years ago, India and Australia officially separate. India is now on this solo journey, floating northeast like an island in the ancient Tethys Ocean, with just Sri Lanka tagging along for the ride. But around 66 million years ago, as India passed over what we call the reunion hotspot, catastrophic volcanic activity was triggered. We call this the Deccan Trap. I mean, talk about a nightmare scenario for life on Earth. While that famous asteroid hit the Chicxulub crater over in Mexico, causing massive global devastation, simultaneously, right in India, the massive volcanic eruptions of the Deccan Traps were spewing unimaginable amounts of lava and toxic gas. This deadly 1-2 punch of a global asteroid impact and localized volcanic hell wiped out the native Indian dinosaurs that roamed there. You know, like the mighty Rajasaurus, the absolute king of the Narmada Valley, and the massive long-necked Titanosaurus. 15 to 25 centimeters a year. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much to us, but in geological terms, that is an absolute sprint. Unburdened and pushed by deep earth currents, the Indian plate was racing toward Asia at this incredibly fast geological speed. Which brings us to the grand climax of our story. Section 5, the Great Collision. About 50 million years ago, this epic 9,000-kilometer sprint came to a very violent, spectacular halt. That 9,000-kilometer journey, it ends with a massive bang. The Indian plate crashes head-on right into the massive Asian plate. Imagine two gigantic puzzle pieces colliding with millions of tons of force. The land had nowhere to go but up. The crust crumpled, it folded, and it thrust violently into the sky, creating the towering peaks of the Himalayas. To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of this collision, just look at the result. The Himalayan mountain range stretches a staggering 2,400 kilometers. This colossal wall of rock spans across modern-day India, Nepal, China, Bhutan, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Literally the roof of the world, forged by the unstoppable momentum of a wandering continent. But you know, these mountains gave India something far more precious than just a border. Every single year, thousands of tons of snow fall on these jagged peaks, compressing into massive glaciers. When the summer heat arrives, these glaciers melt, giving birth to the incredibly sacred rivers of the subcontinent, the Ganga from Gangotri, the Yamuna from Yamunotri, and the Brahmaputra and Sindhu from Tibet. These rivers are the absolute lifelines of Indian civilization, providing drinking water and irrigation to hundreds of millions of people to this day. Which really brings us to this pretty powerful thought. When you look at India's mountains or its rivers, you aren't just looking at nature. You're looking at a story written over hundreds of millions of years. From the deep, ancient split of Gondwana to the fiery creation of the Western Ghats and that earth-shattering collision that built the Himalayas, India's magnificent landscape is the living, beating heart of Earth's incredible geological history. It truly makes you look at the ground you're standing on completely differently, doesn't it? So I want to leave you with this question to ponder today. What other ancient geological secrets might be hiding right beneath our feet? There is so much deep history still waiting to be uncovered in the rocks, the soil, and the rivers all around us. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through time.